And welcome back to the next episode of the Million Dollar Coach podcast. Joined today by the whole crew on deck. Ash, Sam, Christina, how are you guys?
Wonderful.
That was really, really under-exciting, guys. Like, we need to pump up the energy a little bit. It's the start of the week. Oh, Ash is
there we go.
Cycling out, but we'll get there. Here we go. Everyone's back on now. It's good. So, spicy topic today, I think, and we already had a little pre-chat about it, which sort of brought up some feels, I guess. And I Ash, you didn't want to talk about feels today, but you know, this is us, and we're going to get into feels at some point. But sales, and I know that we've talked about it on here before, and we've talked about it in the FitFilliate podcast. We know we need to sell, because otherwise, how do we make this become a $1 million coach if we're not selling anything? But my question is, why are we so adverse to selling? And I'll just pull the pin out of that grenade, lob that in, and away we go.
Fire in the hole. I mean,
it is like people talk about the ickiness and stuff, but it's like, and I may or may not have just had a call with a client of mine, Christina, about
we were going to leave it alone. No one was going to say anything.
Yeah. Just say name drop.
Yeah, Christina then just looked really guilty. So, but it's like, why are you not wanting to make those calls to action and to make those asks? Like, what's the thing that's stopping you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that. So I love that you said icky. Like, and I think everybody identifies with that. And I think that is partly because of, I don't know what anyone else thinks of. I think of used car salesmen.
Yeah.
I think of, and I'm not going to name any names from any of the dealerships that I know, but like at some point in your lifetime, a used car or even a new car dealership did a commercial, and you watched that commercial and you're like, oh my God, really? This is what you're resorting to? And they're trying just too hard, and it's ugly to watch, and nobody enjoys it, but it's like a car crash. You can't look away, And then because they're swinging for the fences, they had a huge ad buy. So you saw that thing like 3 times a night for the next 5 years or whatever it was. And so you've got this, I'll speak for myself. I've got this preconceived notion that like, that's what selling looks like.
Well, and Sam, if you've gone to those car dealership lots and had to buy anything, like they don't do themselves favors in person either. They're so pushy.
And it's almost, to the point where it's fake. They're like, hey, how you going, man? Oh, I really like this. And you can see, like, if you've been like if you've been alive for more than 10 minutes, you can pick up that you don't really care about my shoes or my this or that. You're trying to build a relationship, find a connection, and then tell me why I need this thing that you have.
Sure. And there's, like that rapport building, that is important, right? Like, so like, this is the thing that like nobody wants to, I just had a call with a client talking about this, and this client was talking about marketing that another gym was doing. And he's like, this gym, their marketing is just so cringy, but it is working. And like, people are flooding in there. And he's like, well, how do I deal with that? I'm like, well, I don't know. How do you deal with human psychology? Like, human psychology is what it is. People respond to certain things. And but understanding that there are non-cringy ways to talk to people about, I'll keep it unique to my thing. There are non-cringy ways to talk to people about the fact that they might be frustrated with their fitness experience. And that's okay. And maybe for you and the goals that you have, there's another path, right? Would you like to talk about what that other path is? And like, there's an authentic way to do that rather than hey, those are some really sharp shoes. I bet you got those at insert name brand place here, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's, we talk a lot at FitFilliate about, sales is not, manipulation. It's inspiration and persuasion, not manipulation. So we've all been feel like we've been manipulated to feel like we are less than if we don't have XYZ product or do XYZ thing, rather than being inspired to commit to a purchase or a product or a program because of the potential it has for us. And I think and if you're coming at your sales from that perspective rather than you will feel icky if you feel like at your core you are manipulating people.
Yeah.
And just, hey, we've all, as affiliate owners, I know we've all done it. In the affiliate, someone new comes in or you're talking to a prospect or lead and you're like, I just need this person to sign up right now. Rent's due. I just need this person to sign up. Or if you start with a new product or a service, it's like, I just need to sell one. Yeah, no, this is going to do everything that you want it to. This is going to be really amazing. This is da-da-da. When really you're just like, I just want to get the win.
It'll wash your car and give you abs.
Yeah.
That need, and I don't know about anybody else. I'll speak for myself here. What that really is, it's not about the money. It's about the need to show to other people that I am successful. And like I need you to know that I'm not a failure. Because I can prove it. Look, blah, 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 blah. Here's my proof that I'm not a failure and that I haven't wasted my life. I don't know if anyone else can identify with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Christina?
Not me.
Fuck, Lisa's just ruthless.
This is literally.
Christina, what do you have to say about that?
I was just watching Christina's face change as you spoke, going, oh no.
So it's not just me. I'm not alone.
So here's the thing, right? Like, why do we all as coaches have an aversion to sell? Because, when I run the PIN program, I'm working with coaches that are not trying to separate from their affiliate. They want to be in their affiliate and they want to be in it more and they want to do more for their affiliates.
Yeah.
And they get, hesitant with if they're being put in charge of sales or they're going to become the head coach and take on the new clients that come in for the first time. And it's like, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of what's going to happen to you? And it's usually our own fears, right? Like Sam, it's like, we're afraid that they're going to think we're a failure for some reason if they don't like the thing.
Yeah.
But if they're coming in for something that they need, it's about them. And it's only us getting in our own heads that gets in the way and creates that fear. Where if we can really focus on the people that we're trying to help for whatever the thing is that you're selling, whether it is the gym membership at your affiliate, whether it's some XYZ program, nutrition, gymnastics, weightlifting, whatever, weight loss, weight gain, make it better in the open. I don't know. But you have to know who you're trying to reach, because not everybody's going to want it. And if you're trying to reach everybody, that's where the problem comes, because then you come off as the pushy salesperson. But if you can target those people that need it and they do want it because they've been working on it, then that's kind of like, that's where then your confidence has to kind of come in. And you have to let go of your own insecurities to be able to kind of serve them what they need, because they do want it. They do need it.
And I think
but it's easier said than done.
Yeah. And I think if you know the value of what you're doing, like, yes, this program will change your life. I mean, if someone is on there and I'm, more power to them, whatever, someone's selling a booty blaster workout, like they know that probably that's not going to get people, their imagery is not, results are not typical. They, if you've got to quantify your product with an asterisk with results, individual results may vary, and probably it's not going to have the impact that you are saying it is. So that's a manipulation. But if like you're saying, Ash, like you're, going into an affiliate, the power of what you have there.
Yeah.
Then therefore that doesn't become, manipulation. And to touch on your earlier point as wise coaches, and I think affiliate owners fall into the same thing as well as coaches, is that,
100%.
I'm not in this to make money. which we've touched on an awful lot, but that needs to happen. But also that we're here to serve. So I'm here to help people, not just take all their money from. I'm not just here to sell to people. Whereas, well, I'm not selling to them. I'm saving and changing their life,
right,
and reframing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where we dive then back into the conversation of coaching versus training, right? Because I think if you're, we're hesitant to sell things because it doesn't take a genius to look up the CrossFit Level 1 manual and learn the points of performance of an air squat. Like the air squat will always be heels, knees, depth, arch, line of action. Like that doesn't change. And so, but that's not what we're selling. Like we're not selling the points of performance. We have to know them as coaches in order to be more effective, in my opinion. But what we're selling is an experience through CrossFit or through whatever avenue of fitness that you are seeking. And it's like, that's the thing, right? And that's where where Ash is saying really diving into who are you trying to reach? Because I've had to have this, kind of realization numerous times, and Lisa's been there for every single one, where it's like, I can't save everyone. I want to save everyone. I want everyone to have this amazing experience with CrossFit that I had. But the fact of the matter is I can't do that. I can only connect with the people who connect with my story and, want to learn my, perspective on fitness, but also those who want to do it. Right. So it's like, I'm seeking out those people, and therefore I'm not even selling them something anymore. It's just, they are investing in themselves by spending time with me, bettering themselves as a coach. And that's it, right? Like I'm not selling any information. I'm not selling CrossFit. I'm just selling time with me that is them investing in themselves.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Sam.
Well, I was going to say, Christina's touching on something that's kind of at the crux of this whole thing. So the solution is, and Lisa said it, this isn't about sales, this is about service, right? But turning that into something that is specific and actionable, thinking about not selling. Like if I have a thing, I have a program, I have a offering, I have a service, whatever it is, you're going to talk about it. And also you have to talk about your stuff. Right. So if you don't talk about yourself and nobody knows about it, then nobody can buy it, A, but also B, nobody gets the benefit of even being offered the chance to buy something that could help them. So talk about your stuff. Second of all, know your people. And so that's part of niching down and understanding your why and all of those things, not what we're talking about here. But third, when you finally do have that individual who has expressed interest, they've come to you and said, this sounds great. I'm really excited about this. Tell me more. Right? Right there, if you engage with that human being, and I hope you do, I really hope so, you're on a sales call. And your job, and I'm going to offer a perspective here, your job is not to get them to buy. Your job is to help them decide. Right? So if a person is reaching out and asking for help, chances are they have felt powerless to a certain extent in one part of their life, right? If every single call I get on with every single potential client, I say at the outset, my job is not to get you to buy here. My job is to help you to decide. Because if I have the thing that's going to work for you, fantastic. But if I don't have the thing, I don't want you to buy it. If what I have is not going to help you, it would be bad if you bought it. Right. So I am immediately disassociating success in sales from purchases. Now my success is defined as, am I listening to this human being? Why is it giving me a thumbs up? I have no idea why that's happening.
What is that?
I don't know. But anyway, am I listening to this human being? Am I asking them questions that's going to help me figure out what they need. Are we dialoguing about that? And at the end, I tell them about a product or an offering or a service. And if it's right for them, that dialogue they have told me why they need this thing. But I'm also going to figure out real quick if I'm not the person for them. And that's a win. That's how I define success.
Well, I mean, as well, usually if someone's on your doorstep, they've reached out to you, they're already ready to engage. They're just looking for an excuse not to.
Yes.
They're looking for a reason not to. And when to talk in American terms, it's like you're running to the end zone and that ball, someone's throwing that football at you, and you just, that person's coming in hot, like it's guaranteed. And then if you juggle it and fumble it by, taking them through a script of a sales and of a just, I need this person, like I need to score this touchdown, guaranteed you're going to drop the ball, you're going to fumble it, and it's going to be, no bueno. Whereas, by going about it, like, tell me your story, like you're just getting them over the line safely.
Yeah.
They've already made their decision. They're just looking for a reason not to. You need to take away the reasons not to.
And I think, going back to what Christina said, the difference between coaching and training, and in neither one of those terms is the term salesman.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if we're talking about why we're so adverse to sell, besides like the icky feelings and stuff, it's like, most of us have never been taught how to. So we've only known that experience that we've had that has stood out in probably more of a negative way, because the other purchases that we have made when somebody sold us something, we don't think that they were the salesperson, right? We were just talking to somebody and it was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need. Awesome. I'm going to get this thing. And we didn't think of them as a salesperson because we had an experience with them. We trusted them and then we bought the thing. Like, how many times have all of us done that, And
it's a very different feeling, isn't it, Ash? Like, when you've had that connection and you trusted them and you built that, that like, yeah, they really get me. This thing is valuable, versus, a late night shopping expedition on the shopping network channel. And you're like, oh my God, there's this whole knife thing that can cut a whole watermelon. Yes, I need this. And then you buy it and it arrives, and I can speak to this, is that it's still in the cupboard, never been used. But at the time it was like, oh my God, this thing's life-changing. But it's not. It's like they sold you on something that you could see all these practicalities, when in reality, and it never works the same way anyway. But it's a different experience, isn't it? And you feel different when you unbox said product or start said program.
Yeah.
When I've bought a ton of online courses that I've never done because they're $29 versus $300. Never done them, but the ones I've done have been the ones where I have engaged with the person providing first. So it does leave that different feeling, and as humans, we tend to operate, we're feeling driven. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. And if you have that relationship and that connection, and you feel like the person gets you and has genuinely listened to your story, not just like, oh, okay, so now let me tell you about the thing, versus I want to know how I can help. Like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Very different experience.
Yeah. But so yes, very different experience. However, if we are so averse to selling that we never even look in the direction of a sale to figure out that there's a better way to do it, everybody loses. Right? Like, and like if you only look at people who crash their cars on the freeway and you're like, well, driving sucks, I'm not going to do that. That's
not for me.
Probably not the lens through which I would encourage you to look at that activity, right? I think that, and so we need to, there's a space for normalizing the discussion around how to offer something and how to talk about an offer, and the fact that, the fact that not everything is for everybody. And thank goodness to, the previous point that was made, if you're trying to market to everybody, you're going to have a bad time. Like, thank goodness I don't have to do that. Thank goodness I don't have to compete with other people. No one can compete with you in being you. And that's terrifying in concept and in practice, because what that means is I want you to be yourself in public, loud. Damn it.
This must be a new StreamYard feature, but
no, it's not StreamYard. It's built into the new version. It's built into the new version of OS 10.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I can't. I count with my thumbs, and now I can't. Anyway,
just keep it down low, Sam.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to like hands down here, but that's just gonna look weird. Thank God Tony's not on this call. So, see, now I've lost it. I had this whole thing. Son of a.
Well, I think so. Interesting
Please
segue.
Save me.
So, for those of you who are not watching this, and maybe you're listening here, Sam keeps getting this mysterious thumbs up from out of nowhere from his camera. But there it is. There it is.
Mine too.
Which, as that kind of popped up, as you were finishing your thought there, Sam, it made me think of another point that we mentioned briefly earlier. This kind of thought of like getting that affirmation from others, like, this fear of selling also comes from this fear of other people judging us, right? And I think that I think the main point that I was kind of going down there is that I believe we talked about this last week. What is your goal money wise? Like, what do you want to make? Because I think that when we become entrepreneurs and we start our own business, I think there's this kind of like assumption that in order for other people to think that we have become successful, we need to become billionaires or millionaires or, whatever it may be. Because if I'm going to have the balls to quit my job and go start my own business, I better be a freaking billionaire, because that's what everybody's looking for, right? They're looking for me to have this like astronomical amount of success, because why else would I quit my full-time comfy job that's secure to start a business, in the coaching space? But the fact of the matter is, like, none of that matters either, because if you have enough money that you want to live your best life, that's all you need. So I think then, it comes back to like asking ourselves some of these deeper questions of like, what do you want? What do you want to provide? What do you want with your financial freedom in your life? And, live to that, and don't worry about getting that mysterious thumbs up from your camera every time you speak, right? Because it's not gonna happen. There's going to be a lot of people with a thumbs down looking at you.
I think I fixed it though.
Good for them. Good for them.
Real quick, I want to, you touched on something kind of interesting as you're talking there. The difference between a million and a billion. Like, first of all, like if you're going to go out there and you're going to like quit your job and be successful, like you absolutely should have a definition for what success is, right? We say these things arbitrarily. So I want to do a thought experiment. Does anyone know how long a million seconds is? I mean, other than obviously a million seconds. A million seconds is 1.6 weeks. Okay? That's a million. Does anyone know how long a billion seconds is?
About 100 weeks or something.
It's 31 years.
Right. There you go. My maths is out.
1.6 weeks to 31 years.
That's
right?
Crazy.
It's so we say these numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody has any idea what these numbers are, right? And so if you turn that into like money and you look at like a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk, like it's hard to quantify that. My better recommendation is don't do what Christina says, which is, how do you define success? Like, because and Ben Bergeron talked about this. Did anyone read Chasing Excellence?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. You have to define success in terms that you can control, or else. And like, so specifically, if you haven't read the book, this is the book that he wrote while he was coaching Katrin Davis-Daughter to her second championship, correct? 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
And his thing was, so using the leaderboard as an example, if you're like, I define success as being on the top of the leaderboard. Well, the problem with that is you can only control your performance. You cannot control anything anyone else did to prepare for that event or those events or throughout the entire year. And so you're basing your concept of success and vis-a-vis that, your concept of happiness on like something that is not within your control. And so it can be taken away very quickly and easily, as opposed to, what is my work-life balance? I have a set a goal. I have a mission. I want to serve 100 humans in the next year, as an example. I want to change 100 lives. That's different, right? That has nothing to do with money. That has nothing to do with, I want X number of zeros in my bank account. It's, I have a thing that I know can help people. I want to look for 100 human beings to be of service to, right? And money, whatever it ends up being, will follow that. But if you're just chasing money, probably a quicker and easier way to do it is insider trading. Not that I would recommend that if the FTC is listening. But if you want to stick inside of the paradigm that we're talking about here, like you have to, part of designing this thing is understanding, we've talked about this previously, understanding your why. What is the thing you're trying to serve? But more importantly, how do you know when you have done it? Like, what does done look like? Is it just a perpetual fucking grind where you smash your face against a wall? I don't want to do that. Yeah.
And I think, it's interesting that, for people who have been, long-time listeners, and everything keeps coming back to those core tenets that we talked about at the start, our why and finding your niche. And,
turns out it's really important. That if you don't have that, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know why you're talking to them. So you don't know what you're even going to offer to them. Like, what's the point of even having a sales conversation? But people tend to sometimes start, down all the way down here and going, oh, I need to sell some things, without having those foundations. And that's kind of like, building a house on a Jello base. Well, it's just going to, it's not going to go very, very well. Yeah.
So you need to have those foundations in, and it seems like we keep banging on about them, but that's because they're the rocks, they're the cement foundations. And that when you're very clear on those, like you said, Sam, everything else just flows in. If you're doing, to quote Greg Glassman, doing the right things for the right reasons, like all of those results are going to come. That's just going to be a byproduct. You're going to make an income, but you're going to be doing your just cause, your mission, which is saving and changing lives, which is ultimately why you set out on this coaching thing to begin with.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's like we say. Sorry, Sam.
Oh, go ahead.
It's like that. I feel like we've used this metaphor before, but it's like, somebody who wants to lose weight because they want to look better. We've had this conversation where it's like, okay, well, we all know we can, we all know what to do. Like, it's really not that like novel of a concept. The problem is people don't dig deeper to realize, like, it's not just about what you look like. Like, what's the real reason why you want to lose weight? Well, actually, you just want to feel better. You want to be healthier. Okay. Well, then the weight loss comes as a byproduct of living this healthier life for a bigger reason. I think it's why most people who seek weight loss for the sake of weight loss do not hold it sustainably in most cases that I've seen, because, it's the same thing. It's, you haven't, if you're just starting a business to start a business and you look up all the things to do and you create your LLC and you make a product and you sell it to people, if you don't have that like core thing that's driving you, like, it's not gonna, it'll work for a little bit, but it won't work long term.
I mean, if you're defining working as existing, sure, it'll exist for a little bit. Also, like, I've got a bunch of free time. I'll start a business. That sounds like not so much fun.
No.
So I think we've done a really good job recently of like making things actionable for people, right? So sales is icky. I don't want to do it. What's our big turnaround? Like, how do we want to get people to the other side? And the first thing that I would offer is you need to understand why you think sales is icky, right? Because the story you tell yourself about sales is icky, buried in that is an experience or a memory or a feeling of, at least, of something from your past. And so you had an experience, and the story you tell yourself is sales is icky, right? Those things are not connected. Like, they're not causally connected, right? So there is the concept of sales, and you can view the concept of sales in any number of ways. And hopefully through understanding, well, okay, why do I think sales is icky? You can pick a way to approach sales, making a sale, asking for a sale in a way that you feel is not icky, right? And one way, as I've said previously, I recommend framing it from the perspective of, I am not trying to convince someone to buy. I am trying to help someone decide. And if at the end of that interaction, they decide that I am not the right human being, I have done my job and I have succeeded. I disassociate my success in selling from an actual sale.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
No, you go. Far away.
Well, I'm having this flashback to my initial call with FitFilliate when I became a client. And I remember that, all it was like, literally, I remember Tony sent me the email and he said, hey, like, schedule a time in my calendar. And I did that and bring a coffee. That's what he said, bring a coffee. And I remember being like, oh, all right. Okay. So just a chat, right? And, we chatted, we really connected. It was really great.
Did you bring a coffee?
Like, what's that? I
Did you bring a coffee?
I don't think I did. I don't think I did. But like, it was the sentiment was there.
Sure.
But I just remember like great connection, like just talking about my story, what I wanted, my dreams. And then I was like, so this was so great. How much? Because I'm buying it right now, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I remember he was like, whoa, like, hold on. Like, I want you to, he's like, you're excited. This is great. We had a great connection, but like sleep on it. Like, I don't want you to just jump into this. I want you to just, and I remember feeling like, wow, like zero pressure, right? Like, and Tony says all the time, like, he's like, I don't do sales calls, right? Like, this is about, making a genuine connection with another human. And perhaps, we here at FitFilliate or the MDCP program, maybe we have what you need and we're here to support you. And that's for you to decide, right? But there was no pressure. And it just was like, it was very refreshing to know that even when I was like, here's the last 3 digits of my credit card number, it was like, hold on.
Yeah. Well, Tony will always say, on that consult, don't bring your credit card.
Yeah.
I don't want you to pay for anything. I'm not selling you anything today.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a matter of figuring out, this is what we do. If that appeals to you, like, let's go. Let's see where we can take this thing. And even then, there's still like a multiple step process of like, this still may not work out, and that's okay. And there's like no pressure, but it's like, but if it does work out, hell yeah, like, let's go, and I think that's, if we get out of the mindset of thinking that we're selling anything at all, I'm providing support for coaches. That's what I do.
Well, that's what it looks like. So like a multiple step process, that's what it looks like when you have clearly identified what you are offering, who you are offering it to, why it exists. And like, to Tony's point, it's like, you're like, yes, good, sign me up. And Tony's like, you might not be the person. Let's chit chat a bit more.
Well, and it's kind of like you said, Sam, like, it's not, and Christina, I mean, it's really not sales anymore. It becomes like a screening process. Yes. Right? Like, am I right for you? Is my product, is this going to help you? Like, what are your needs? What do you expect? What kind of time do you expect to spend on it? Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And once it becomes about that, it's no longer like, go ahead, be adverse to selling because you're not selling. Like you're screening and you're making sure that it's makes sense for both of you.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had the experience where we've taken on a client that we really should never have taken on. Yeah, Sam's like relatable, but
I feel triggered just thinking about that.
And it's not a good experience for them.
Yeah.
It's not a good experience. Like beyond when you take their money, you go, well, that's okay. I'm getting paid for it. That only lasts for so long. That moment you see your bank balance go bing, you're like, this is amazing. And then you're dealing with that person. It's not a good interaction. It stresses you. It's not good for them. It's not, and you think, how much better would my life have been had I just been more specific and asked better questions and, yeah, all those things. Because we've just grabbed somebody and we haven't gone through that process of, am I the right fit for this person?
Well, and going back to like sales feels icky because it's inauthentic. That icky feeling, here's a hot take, that icky feeling that you feel after you take that client, that's because you were inauthentic. You like, everybody's got their own morals and values, right? You're allowed to, and like, here's the freedom. Like, I get the freedom to live my life the way I want to when I accept the way that you live the way your life, because you're living your way you want to, right? Part and parcel with that is I have my own lines in the sand for me, not for anybody else, but for me. When I violate those lines in the sand, I cross those lines, that's a recipe for soul sickness. When you are not living in accordance with the bounds that you set for yourself, whoa, like, and I guarantee everybody has known this feeling. You do it, and maybe not immediately, maybe not the next day, but sometime after that, there's like an icky in your gut feeling, and it doesn't go away until that situation is ended, resolved itself, or there's been a catastrophic explosion of some kind. Because that's also an option. That happens.
Some people even get physically ill or
there's
injured.
That too. Absolutely.
It manifests physically sometimes. Yeah.
For sure.
And, we don't want, coaches to, like, you don't need to live in that space. You don't need to walk around feeling that all the time because of what you're doing or the way you've gone about it. Like, there's a different way. So I guess as we sort of move towards putting a pin in this one, and we start to think about, we've covered a pretty broad section of this, I guess, is why we feel, why are we adverse to sales? If we're looking for some takeaways for people who are listening to this or watching this that they can action or to, at least think on as they wind up this episode, what are we going to put forward for that?
I would say the first thing is you have to know who you're talking to. Like if you don't understand, there's a lot of ways to phrase this, but if you don't know who you're trying to reach and your answer is, well, anybody with a wallet, like that's not going to end up well for you or for the client. Yep.
Ash, have you got a final knowledge bomb that you want to drop?
Knowledge? No, I would advise to, make a list of questions so that you can know clearly if you're right, if your product, your coaching is right for them or not. And if it's, and
that's a good point that we probably haven't touched on, is that it's still okay to have a script, a process that you go through and you follow so that every interaction is consistent. And having a script doesn't mean it's a sales script. It's a, consultation just to make sure that you're right, Ash, trying to identify that this is a good fit all the way around.
Yes.
Christina, anything, final thoughts?
Just that if you genuinely give a shit about what you're doing and the people you're working with, you are worthy of being compensated.
Yes.
Yep.
That's it. You are worthy.
Yep. And that's a powerful point to remember. So, guys, if you were listening to this or watching this and you're like, what's a niche? Like, what's my reason for doing this? We do have the $1 Million Coach Program online course available. The link is in all of the show notes where you can start to dig in some of that stuff so you can be less adverse to putting your stuff out there and selling it. rather than thinking it's so icky. And also, don't forget, we have changed our social media a little bit.
Ooh.
Head over and follow us at the main FitFilliate account at FitFilliate on the Instagrams. That way you get all of our great information in one place. So head over there, give them a follow if you have not already. So podcast not going anywhere, just our content is shifting over to there, which makes it a lot easier for everyone to find us.
Yes.
All right, guys, great chats today as always, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right.